Now, this may be a film that you guys have not heard of before, but today I'm going to be talking about a drama film called The Room Next Door, which is directed by Pedro Almodóvar. I believe that's how you say his name. I've never seen any of his previous works. I've heard of a couple of his films, like The Skin I Live In and Parallel Mothers, but I've never seen anything that he's actually directed. The film stars Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. My name is Ryan. Now, the plot of this film is you have two friends that were very close in their youth. They went on to different careers and they kind of fell apart as friends. And then one day, Julianne Moore, she is a writer and she is signing these books, and one of her fans comes up who is like an old friend and says, "Hey, Martha's been wanting to see you," Tilda Swinton's character. And she finds out that her friend has cancer and is in the hospital. So she goes to the hospital and they rekindle their relationship as friends. Now, we do learn about Julianne Moore. Obviously, she is a known author. And Tilda Swinton's character, she was a war reporter. And apparently they worked at like a news station at some point, or a magazine of some point in their careers, and that's where they really kind of kindled their relationship when they were in their youth. Now, when we're at the hospital, we go to a lot of flashbacks about Tilda Swinton's life, stuff about her daughter, the father of her child, certain little things in her life and flashbacks, and that's kind of like how the first half of this film actually goes. As the film goes along, there apparently is this pill that Tilda Swinton wants to take. It's an illegal pill that she got, and it's basically going to help her end her life. So this film is very dark in the subject that it's actually tackling. What I liked about it is mainly the subject, handling it delicately. And I like the fact that it goes into friendship. And I feel like a lot of people can really relate to that. Obviously, we have a lot of friends when we're in our youth. And we kind of come and go. We kind of go off, do our own careers, do different things in our life. And we just kind of dwindle. I've had lots of friends like that where we were really close. We had a lot of similarities and stuff that we'd like to do. But then we kind of go off. We get married. Certain things happen, and then you just kind of lose touch. And I feel like this film, it's talking about mainly like you're going back into that relationship and rekindling that friendship. And there's never really a good time to really go back into someone's life, I would say, at certain points. Because a lot of times, if like 10, 15 years have passed, and then you go back into someone's life like that, and in this case, going into someone's life and they are dying of cancer, I mean, it could just take a toll on someone. So I think on that front, like, there is a lot to be said about what this film is trying to say. I think the message of this film is a lot better than like the film itself. I did hear that this director, this is their first English film, and I believe it was actually adapted from a book of some sort, I believe. And the dialogue here is very stilted. Some of the characters say some wacky things, and you definitely can just see as they're speaking this dialogue, it just feels a little out of place. Like, it feels kind of uncomfortable at places. And just like kind of how like the flow of that dialogue just doesn't really make sense. So you can definitely see on the front of someone that is known to do like Spanish films, I believe, and then translating into an English film, you definitely see that there's a little bit of a struggle there. But I think like after doing a film like this, maybe like that will help the director, you know, get better as time goes along if he decides to do more English films. But I think like the biggest problem with this film is definitely the dialogue. It's definitely a slow burn film. I definitely think this is not a film for like the general audiences. This is definitely for someone that really likes artsy films, slow burn films, stuff that really relates to life or something they can really relate to. And this film, it's a depressing film, but the way that they kind of shape out the film, it's very beautiful in a way. It's actually like within like the third act. I think the color schemes, they can be bright at times. There's a lot of reds in this film. And like the setting, because they actually, in the second half of this film, go to this house. And this house is where Tilda Swinton wants to die. And the reason why it's called The Room Next Door is because she says to her, hey, I'm going to when I close this door, like, I'm done. Like, I'm going to be passed away. And Julianne Moore's character is the room next door. So that's why it's called that. The setting in this house where they're actually at, I love the location. It was definitely really cool. Like, that location and the setup of the house, it was just a very peaceful type of setting. And I think that's kind of like the third act of what they were trying to do in this film, is make stuff very peaceful, make it at peace of like how your life is and how you've lived your life. So I think like there's a lot of good messaging in this film that make this film worth it to check out once. It's really slow. I felt the runtime at points. Like I said, the acting isn't bad, but it's just like the dialogue and just what they had the characters say. I think that really hurt the film. And I think the film, if it's written a little better, the dialogue's a little better, and maybe like if certain things are kind of handled a little bit better, and just the way that they kind of progress the film, I think it'd be a little bit more enjoyable to a point, despite the fact that it is dark subject matter. But I do applaud the director for how he handled the subject matter, because he handled it in a more beautiful way, a more positive way. It wasn't so depressing, though at the same time, you know, you got to see a lot of cool moments with these friends. They're rekindling their relationship. And it really makes you think, like, if you're dying of cancer, like, what would you actually want to do? How would you want to spend your last few days, weeks, months, whatever the case may be? And it's just showing, like, simple things in life, like watching a movie or going out for a drive or going out and just going for a walk. I mean, like, simple things in life like that we take for granted. That kind of thing, like, it's a beautiful thing about life. And I think on that front, that's where I really thought the film actually shined. For me, it's definitely not a film that I'll watch again, but as far as the score, I will give it a 2 out of 5. It's meh in its execution to a point, but I think, like, I love the messaging more, and I think it is shot pretty well. And like I said, the color schemes are pretty vibrant at times. The reds, they just really pop up, and they just, you know, they show the love that this film is trying to portray, even towards a tough subject matter. So those are my thoughts on The Room Next Door. Let me know in the comments, have you heard of this film? Have you checked it out? If you did, what did you guys think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? If you haven't checked it out yet, are you going to check it out in the theater, or are you going to check it out on VOD, or skip it altogether? Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.